Hi everyone, my name is Ina Garcia and this is my video presentation for our DevC 263 as part of our final paper. So today I'll be presenting my science and technical communication project titled Lock It Up, Think Before You Click. The project brings together the all five courses tasks from planning and literature review to material development, pilot testing, expert review, revision, and lastly our final evaluation. So the focus of this campaign is very simple, helping out university students practice small, everyday cybersecurity habits that actually fit into their daily routine or daily lives. So I'll begin by explaining the context and motivation for the project. But before that, designing any materials, it was very important for us to understand why cybersecurity is such a critical issue for students nowadays. So, university students today live much of their lives online. We use learning portals, e wallets, messaging apps, and social media every day. Because of this, students have become one of the most common targets of phishing, scams, and account takeovers. So, reports from the National Privacy Commissioner (NPC) and the Department of Information and Communication Technology or DICT shows a steady rise in cyber incidents involving young people. So what became clear to me early on the cybersecurity is not just a technical problem, but it is also a communication problem. So many students like us, like me, are aware that risk exists, but they don't always receive guidance that feels clear, relatable, or immediately useful. So the project aims to bridge that gap by translating technical cyber safety advice into a simple, friendly, and actionable habits students can realistically practice. So my ground approach for this one is the reviewed literature on cybersecurity, digital behavior, and development communication. So the literature shows a consistent gap between awareness and action among young people. My studies indicate that while students know cybersecurity is very important, many of us still reuse passwords or maybe click unfamiliar links or skip security features like the two-factor verification codes. So during the COVID-19 pandemic, some of the researchers also observed how quickly harmful content and scams spread online way very easily. So especially when people lack digital literacy. This highlighted how cybersecurity and misinformation are closely connected. So, from a development communication perspective, students should not be treated as a passive recipients of warnings. They are active digital participants who share links, contents, and even information daily. So, my science and technical communication emphasizes that technical knowledge only becomes effective when it is communicated in clear, accessible, and audience appropriate ways. The insights directly shape the design of my campaign. I'll now explain how these ideas were translated into a actual materials through the project methodology. So this project followed by a four-phase processes. So the first is I conducted audience analysis focused on university students in general, age 17 to 24, who are highly active but not always cautious. The second one is I developed the three S&T materials, which are digital infographic, social media carousel, and lastly, a short vertical video using a lock and key metaphor. Third, the materials were pilot tested within a small FGD composed of 10 students and reviewed by a campus digital safety expert who's also a campus student. Finally, I revised all materials based on feedback from both students and the said expert. So this process allowed my campaign to improve not just in accuracy, but also in clarity, relatability, and accessibility. So next, I'll be presenting the key findings from my pilot testing and for the expert review. So the results of my pilot testing were very positive. It has an overall mean of 4.7 out of 5. Students described my material as clear, relevant, and easy to understand. Many of them said that the lack metaphor I used helped them visualize online safety more clearly. And most frequent remembered tips, right? Hover before you click, and then the usual turn on the 2FA or like the two-factor verification code. One of the my expert reviewer mentioned that the content was factually accurate and aligned with the current cybersecurity practices use in universities. He also suggested important improvements such as in maybe increasing more of the size, improving contrast, and explaining the two-factor authentication in a simpler and more conventional terms. So these findings highlighted both the strengths of the material and specific areas of my refinement for my final product. So I'll now summarize how these feedbacks apply to my final revisions. So based on the feedback, several revisions were made across all of my materials. I start with the infographic. So it was mentioned text size was increased, contrast was also improved, and we've also put in there the 2FA as one of the shortest terms millennials or like most of the students as part of my group reviewed. So there for the infographic. Next would be my carousel. So each of the slides were simplified to focus on one idea with a clear behavioral cue such as regularly checking privacy settings. I also put in here Taglish. It may not be as clear as I wanted to be because of size and the MB size issues. And then lastly, I put in the hashtag lock it up challenge just for it to be more um advisable for students and easy to remember. And lastly, my last material will be the video. So the stock footage was replaced with a real student and a step-by-step on screen. Oops. And a step-by-step on screen instructions were added, so a stronger end frame was also included to reinforce recall. All materials is now with a consistent campaign message, lock it up, think before you click. Next, I'll share the overview of the takeaways recommendations from this project. So, in summary, the Lock It Up campaign successfully translated technical cybersecurity concepts into simple, relatable S&T materials designed specifically for students. And the project shows that cybersecurity communication works best when it is student-centered, visually simple, and conversational. So, familiar metaphors like the Lock It Up metaphor and everyday language help make my subject or topic more complex, easier to remember, and easy to apply. And based on these experiences, I recommend integrating similar materials into student orientations, promoting more into the two-factor authentication campus-wide, and exploring more interactive formats such as quizzes or like maybe short-form videos that can easily attract attention of our students. So most importantly, this project highlights how development communication like us can empower students by making safety feel manageable rather than overwhelming. So there is it. This is my last slide. References and appendices used in the project. I've also included this on my final paper. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for listening. And remember, one small habit can protect your entire digital life. Lock it up, think before you click.